What is the difference between fighting your arc from causing destruction with your TIG welding and having it locked on for laser focus? The twist isn't just one big thing, it's a few small things that nobody dials in properly, but if fixed, the quality of your arc will change instantly. This is relatively thin aluminum material here. It's approximately 1/16 of an inch thick. This is something I've demonstrated here before on the channel. I'm basically just doing a pulse welding pass on it. Welding without filler material is always something that requires your tungsten and your arc accuracy to do most of the work for you. When people are welding or working with material that is this thin or thinner, what's common is that sometimes you can see your arc flicker back and forth, either when you're welding along or when you're just arcing on. You can understand that welding with material like this that is quite thin, the goal is that we want our arc to lock on with really good arc focus and accuracy so it doesn't flicker to one side or the other. This is something that contributes to basically just blowing the joint wide open and overheating it. When your arc is flickering back and forth like this is actually a term that I call arc deflection. This is where either something to do with the tungsten or the setup stuff that we are going to talk about here causes the arc to lose its focus. See in this clip here how it's basically dancing around back and forth to the sides, and it's not even locking onto the target yet. This is super frustrating and it can mess your stuff up real quick. And in some circumstances, it can even flicker away and it can deflect to the filler material. Do you ever see the tip of your filler material start to blow off like this? This sucks. This is gonna drive anyone insane if this happens to them. Here's 3 things that's gonna improve your arc control instantly. This is gonna be a controversial take to a lot of people who haven't seen my channel before, but take a look at my tungsten preparation here. TIG welders will take one look at this and tell you to never do this. You can see it has a ball preparation on the end of it. This is typically something that's a big no in the welding community. But I want you to take a look at something else to do with my tungsten here. Did you notice it? Take a look at the little area that I've ground back. You can see that I've ground a nice taper to the end of it. And because this is done so carefully, the ball preparation on the end is actually really small. Much smaller than the actual diameter of the tungsten itself. When you're grinding your tungsten, this is something a lot of people know, but in case you don't, you just want to make sure that you pay close attention to the direction that you are grinding. You can see that this has been done so that the grain is going lengthwise to the tungsten direction. You never want to do it in a way that's sideways like this. This is called radial grinding. You also want to avoid anything that kind of goes like diagonal or spiral or whatever. Keep your grinding lengthwise, no exceptions. Something I would mention to a lot of people is also to take a look at the grit that they're using or for whatever they're using to grind their tungsten on. A good rule of thumb is you want the grit to be as fine as possible. If the grit gets too coarse, what it can do is actually leave grooves that are really kind of deep and extreme in the tungsten electrode. And when you flash up, this can also cause arc deflection very easily. Even if you have perfect prep on your tungsten, perfect settings on your machine, if your grind is crazy, you're gonna have a really tough time keeping that accuracy that we need. Looking in the workbook here, you can see that the grinding grain is laid out perfectly lengthwise with a fine grit. And you can see that the ball preparation is tiny on the end. A lot of the time, people will recommend that you sharpen your tungsten to a total point, or some people will recommend that you weld using a blunted tungsten tip like this here. But like I mentioned, I personally prefer to leave a little ball on the end. And again, this thing is tiny. One thing that this is gonna do is really important. It's going to help to prevent any chance of your electrode tip becoming misshapen after multiple starts. If you ever see the tip of a tungsten start to flutter or start to misshape, this usually means that something to do with the balance setting on your machine is off a little bit. If you have a small ball on the end of it, this will hold the shape much better. And if you can keep the preparation of this ball on the end nice and small like this, you're going to get the pinpoint accuracy that we want. And the next thing that's going to help you to get good control of your arc is your gas setup. You want to make sure that you aren't pumping too much gas through your setup. You're going to notice that your arc can tend to be pushed around very easily, especially with thin welding, or especially when going around round shapes like this. This page in the workbook talks about how important consistency is. Taking a look at a project like this here, look at this. Consistency is going to be very hard to maintain if your arc is dancing around, not staying locked onto your target, especially at your starts. You always want to make sure that you have the volume of your gas set really specifically for the amperage that you're using on a specific welding joint. That's when, like, if I'm doing something a little bit thicker and I have my gas set for that, if I switch to go to welds on something a little thinner, I'll actually go over and I'll dial my gas back a little bit. And this is something that's going to be taken into consideration, also considering the size of the cup that you're using on your torch. This is never really just a set it and forget it mentality. Like I mentioned, especially with welding thin stuff where good accuracy is vital. You might need to run a couple passes, maybe on some practice material, just to find that sweet spot. And just again, for a ballpark, I typically recommend people using a number 5 or a number 6 cup on their torch for aluminum. You can see that there are many different variations of setups with torches, but regardless of what you're using, I recommend using something like a number 5 or a number 6 size cup. Like I said, the gas that you set is never just going to be a set it and forget it type value. I adjust this pretty frequently, like for whatever type of welding I'm doing, and I recommend you do the same. Something else that might mess with your gas in the shop, especially if you're working around other people, is breezes or gusts of wind that might be traveling through your working area. Make sure that you set up your work area with flash screens all around you. You can see this is how I used to set up things back in the production days when I welded there. I had them all around me. And while ventilation is something that you always want to make sure that you take the time to set up properly in your shop, any fans that you have, just make sure they aren't blowing directly or messing with your welding area. Your argon is going to be able to do its job much easier. Here's one tip that actually blows a lot of people away because they don't realize they're making this mistake. Make sure that when you arc on with your pedal, you do so nice and slow. Just feather it on slowly a bit until your arc starts to initiate, and then after it locks on, you can get into the heat a little bit more with your pedal. This is super common here. Most people get ready to weld and then they just stamp on the pedal to get going. This can cause your arc to shoot off to the side, or it can lose focus right away, especially if something that we've been over hasn't been set up correctly. Sometimes you can also see pieces of the tungsten being flicked off and ejected on these starts. This is called arc spit. And if this happens, it can contaminate your weld immediately. Make sure that you always arc on, feather your pedal down nice and slow, do your welding, and then repeat the process and feather off nice and slow as well to extinguish it. One thing that's very important, I talk about this all the time, you guys, but so many people still ask me these types of questions. The consistency of your standoff distance as you are traveling is going to help out with this a lot. This graphic here shows how close I am into the welding area. This distance should not change at all from start to finish. You don't want to see it drifting away near the end. As you travel along, you want this distance to remain nice and consistent. If you start to drift away, especially doing fine stuff like we were talking about, even with a perfect gas setup, perfect settings, and a tungsten that's been set up and ground perfectly, you're going to start to see your arc flicker and become problematic. Keep it in nice and close. It's going to stay locked on with good accuracy from start to finish. Take a look at this pass again with pulse welding here. Without using filler material for something like this, it's extremely important that your accuracy stays nice and close and focused. You can see that the welding looks consistent and nice from start to finish. Penetration on the other side looks good as well. This is from the good heat focus that is not deviated at all from start to finish. Now this is important, listen to this. What we want to see looking at our tungsten is that we see the tip of the tungsten, or whatever preparation you've chosen, stay consistent across multiple starts. If your tungsten is set up well, like we talked about already, you can see that with this project that I was welding out here, there's literally a million starts that I had to do, and the shape of the tungsten preparation did not change at all across all of these flash ups. If you can flash up dozens of times and the tip of your tungsten doesn't change at all, providing you don't dip and contaminate like this means that your tungsten has been prepared really nicely, the setup with your torch is banging, and your gas settings are helping to shield things perfectly. If you want a step-by-step guide to actually help dial some of this stuff in, download my new workbook free of charge right now. It's got a ton of stuff that's going to help you out with all these things that we just talked about. You can check out my full actual hardcover textbooks as well, and do a random act of kindness for a stranger today. My name is Dusty James. Phil and Chill. We'll talk soon. Peace.